deception, my delusion forever.
Hello, Diogo.
What the? Foreigners? Who sent you, Captain Nina?
No, the captain didn't send us. She set sail. But we met your father, who's very worried about you.
My father? Oh, he must be so angry. I shattered his dreams and brought shame to our family. He insists I become a sailor, but he's never asked himself if that's what I want. Never mind. You wouldn't understand.
Nobody understands me. In my experience, lad, if you don't speak up, that's exactly what happens. You'd do better to talk, just in case.
I get seasick. And I don't like being on the water. I'm terrified of the sea. How could I ever explain that to my captain? Or to my father, who comes from a long line of naughts and dreams that one day I'll take over for him?
Is that why you ran away? You are afraid of his reaction?
Yes. But it wasn't just that.
Is your father violent?
No. He just looks at me with disappointment. Like I'm worthless. I mean, that's what he does when he listens to me. Most of the time, he just pretends nothing is wrong. I told him I was afraid of the sea, and all he said was that I'd get over it. What I really want to do is become a glassmaker. I want to make new objects to better observe the sky. I know he'll never accept that. He'd disown me instead, but maybe you could convince him to listen to me.
How so?
Maybe he'll listen to you, if you tell him that glassmaking is a noble trade.
We can try to talk to him, but from what you've told us, he might not listen.
You're the first people to agree to support me. That's already a start, believe me. Before you showed up, I decided I'd rather throw myself overboard than disappoint my father. So thank you very much. Truly.
I hope you've put that idea out of your head for good. Meet us at the dock your ship was supposed to leave from. That's where your father is waiting for us.
I'm already on my way.
Diogo! You're home at last. Are you alright? I've been worried about you. Why on earth did you leave like that?
I'm sorry, Father. I needed a place to think.
What the hell is there to think about? Your ship has sailed, you do realise that? Children, they're always thinking too much. But don't worry, I'm sure I can find a captain who'll take you on.
Father.
What? What now?
We had a chance to talk to your son when we found him outside town. He doesn't want to become a sailor.
What in the great depths are you talking about? Look, I'm very grateful to you for bringing my son back to me, but you're foreigners. You don't know how things work around here. Diogo comes from a family of Nauts. He's going to be a sailor like his father.
Your son gets seasick, and moreover, he has other ambitions.
What are you talking about? Diogo?
It's true, Father. I'm as sick as a dog at sea, and I want to become a glassmaker. A master glassmaker at that.
I can't believe my ears.
You should let him choose his own path. Isn't your son's happiness important to you?
Of course it is, but this is just a passing fancy. He'll come to see the beauty of the sea, just like my father and I before him.
You think his seasickness will pass?
Of course. It's all in his head.
Please, Father. Why do you refuse to understand? It's my life, after all.
We are Nauts. Our life is the sea. There's nothing to understand.
It seems to me that his desire is not so unreasonable. Since he can't go to sea without getting sick, choosing a path that allows him to be useful to the guild would seem to be a wise choice. One that doesn't betray your family's values. After all, Nauts aren't just sailors. They're also ship owners, shipwrights, and glassmakers.
You're not entirely wrong. And you know a lot about our guild, for a foreigner.
Father, let me make you a deal. I'll become Guillerme's apprentice for a few months, and if he's happy with me, and everything goes well, you let me become a glassmaker. But if Guillerme isn't happy with my work, then I'll become a sailor, as you wish. Why does it matter whether I set sail now or in a few months?
That's a reasonable offer. I'm willing to give you a chance.
Thank you. Thank you, Father. And thanks to you, foreigners, for your assistance.
I'm glad to see you finally agree.
Wait, here. Take this jacket. I'm sure I won't have to wear it anymore. But maybe it'll come in handy.
Are you lost? Do you need directions?
Thank you, we are just passing through.
Look, breathing guy. The ground is sunken there. Someone must have buried something. We need something we can dig with. Look, Ridengar. The ground is sunken there. Someone must have buried something. We need something we can dig with. Look, Ridengar. The ground is sunken there. Someone must have buried something. We need something we can dig with.
Stop! Access to this area is strictly forbidden. Move along.
Workers' clothing would come in handy around here, if we want to keep a low profile.
We're missing something to make this work. We're missing something to make this work. We'll have to be careful. We're not supposed to be here. We'll have to be careful. We're not supposed to be here.
May the shadows crush you!
My offer is broken.
and precious wood, leathers and skins, minerals and plants.
Hello. Welcome back to my stall.
There you are. Any news? Preparations are underway on my side, but without your help, I'll have trouble defending you.
We found 2 witnesses who could vouch for us. The ink mistress, who heard the scene though she couldn't see it, and the carpenter who witnessed the whole thing. However, the carpenter warned us that his word would carry little weight.
What can the ink mistress report?
That she heard one of the men from the Bridge Alliance insult us before the attack.
So that contradicts the idea that this was an unwarranted attack. But it doesn't justify murder. And this carpenter...
He witnessed the whole thing and can confirm our innocence. But he told us that his testimony wouldn't help us.
I know who you're talking about, and he's not wrong. His past actions mean he's hardly credible. And his support for Alvida could easily be called into question. So if I were you, I'd think twice before putting him on the stand. It would be better to find other evidence or find the prosecution's infamous witness before going to trial.
We've spoken to the prosecution's witness, who won't be testifying at the trial.
Excellent. I hope you didn't use any underhanded methods that could backfire. But this will give you a much better chance at clearing your names, as the emissary will have nothing to back up her accusations. The whole affair seems suspicious, but the witness's reversal makes me think there's more to it than that. Some dark plot whose inner workings we may never understand.
We discovered that the emissary has a hideout outside the city where she carried out business deals. She had documents there proving beyond doubt that she was behind the whole thing.
I suspected as much. But why would she do that?
So that the Nods would have no sympathy for my people. That they would think we are savages, and would have no second thoughts about participating in our destruction.
It's horrifying, and I'm furious at the idea that someone could have tried to manipulate our people in this way. This emissary won't get away with it, I promise.
I don't know anything about your justice system. What will happen during the trial?
Everything takes place in the Admiral's Council Chamber, which you've already visited. The prosecution, represented by the Alliance's emissary, will present their evidence and their witnesses. We'll be able to cross-examine them, of course, and I'll follow your instructions. Then we'll present our own evidence and witnesses, so all you have to do is tell me who to call and what to present. The witnesses and evidence will be cross-examined by the emissary, who will do everything in her power to find weaknesses in them. Finally, the Council will present its decision, which will hopefully be in our favor.
What are the consequences if we lose?
As a rule, we don't sentence foreigners to death. It would be too risky since we're too dependent on our wealthy clients. But since you're accused of murder, you could end up in jail for a long time, or banished from Uxantis for life if you're lucky. For Alvida, things are a little different. Although it's rare for a Nod to be sentenced to death for the murder of a foreigner. But if we lose, she'll lose everything. Her rank, her freedom. I hope it doesn't come to that.
We think we're ready for the trial.
I think we have more than enough to clear you. Remember to give me all the documents I'll need to show, as well as the names of the witnesses, and we can go. Don't forget that during the trial, it will be up to you to tell me who to call and what to share.
Defendants, take your seats. The trial is about to begin. We are gathered here before Admirals Cabral and Barcelos. I shall be representing the inhabitants of this island. Our aim is to clarify the events that took place in front of the Ink Mistress's workshop, which led to the deaths of several of the Bridge Alliance emissaries' escorts. The emissary will represent the prosecution. Is the emissary here and ready to present her arguments?
I am. And I will prove, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that these savages murdered my escort and brought chaos to this island.
The defendants are Captain Alvida and the group of foreigners who are her guests. They are represented by the master of the shipyard.
We are also ready.
Very well. The prosecution has the floor.
Your honors, Noughts, I come here to seek justice for the lives of my men who were murdered on your streets. And I will prove to you that these savages are the killers.
Please explain how your men ended up in this part of town, when they were supposed to be part of your escort.
I'd given them the afternoon off, so I assume they were sightseeing. That's when they were attacked by these islanders and their companions.
Why would they do that?
Because they're savages. Ever since my people first set foot on Tir Fridi, we witnessed nothing but savagery. They constantly reject any form of progress. They kill people, massacre them if need be, and then pass themselves off as victims. They lure far more sophisticated people into their nets, and make them pay for their crimes. Which explains why these eminent representatives of other peoples from the continent, as well as Captain Alvida, are here.
This whole speech sounds like an indictment, but you haven't provided any evidence.
This is true. Do you have any evidence or witnesses to call?
I do. I call Longshoreman Duarte to the stand.
Well, where is your witness, emissary?
I don't have the slightest idea.
You're wasting our time, emissary. Do you have any other witnesses?
I'll call the head guard.
The head guard didn't show up until after the fight.
Don't worry. We can cross-examine him if you wish.
Very well. Can you tell us what you witnessed that day?
We were on patrol in the neighborhood, and a longshoreman came to tell us that some savages had attacked a group of Alliance foreigners. We got there as quickly as we could, but by the time we arrived, the savages were putting away their weapons and the others were lying dead on the ground.
Is there any way they could have just been passing by and had drawn their weapons to assist my men?
No, they were covered in the men's blood, and we saw them finish off the last one as we approached. I'm sorry. I wish we'd gotten there sooner. We could have saved your men.
You did your duty. What could you have possibly done in the face of such savagery? What happened next?
We wanted to arrest them, but the master of the shipyard intervened and reminded us that we could only arrest the captain.
A law that's difficult to swallow when it's obvious that the ones it benefits are the true culprits, and the innocent must shoulder the burden of their crimes.
In the context of this court, you will abstain from criticizing our laws, emissary.
Of course, forgive me. I have no further questions for this witness.
Does the defense wish to question the witness?
Ask him if he can confirm who started the attack.
According to your own testimony, you did not witness the attack, yet you arrested the captain.
Well, those men have been killed, and it was obvious that the captain and her friends were responsible for their deaths.
Really? Would the scene you discovered have been different if these people were the victims of a vicious attack and were only defending themselves?
I suppose the scene would have been the same, yes. But the longshoreman...
Since the longshoreman isn't here, what he told you can't be trusted. What was the first thing the defendants said to you when you tried to arrest them?
They were only defending themselves.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Now that the prosecution has presented its evidence and witnesses, it's time for the defense to present its case.
It's our turn now. What would you like us to present first? I call the Ink Mistress to the stand. Can you tell us what happened during the attack in front of your workshop?
I was inside my workshop at the time of the attack, and unfortunately, I didn't see the fight.
That's a very useful testimony.
The prosecution will refrain from commenting until the floor is opened. Continue, Mistress.
I didn't see anything, but I did hear what happened. I clearly heard someone shouting something before the fighting started.
Can you tell us what was shouted?
Not entirely, but I distinctly heard the words savage and traitor.
It was the native who was shouting as she threw herself at my men.
No, I didn't recognize the voice. It wasn't any of the defendants. It was a different voice. What's more, I'd like to add that the defendants were thoughtful, not the savages they've been made out to be.
Thank you, Mistress. It seems clear that the attack was preceded by insults that were proffered by the emissary's men. This contradicts her version of the events.
I don't believe a word of it.
Madam, we have tolerated your repeated interruptions, despite our requests to respect the protocol. But we will not tolerate you questioning the word of an eminent figure on our island. Does the prosecution have any questions for this witness?
No, I have no questions for the venerable mistress.
Would you like to call Silvio the carpenter to testify?
No, this man's word means nothing to me or this court.
I don't know this island well enough. So, I'll take Alvida's advice. We'd better not call him to the stand.
Although his testimony is the most complete, I agree with you.
Does the defense have any other witnesses to call?
I was thinking of calling Alvida to the stand. You are all witnesses, but her word carries more weight here than yours. What do you think?
Call Alvida. She can testify for us all.
I'm more than willing to answer your questions, and those of this snake.
I call the defendant, Captain Alvida, to the stand. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what happened that day, in your own words?
My name is Captain Alvida. I had just received my new ink when it happened.
Can you remind the court of what you did to earn this new rank?
I sailed from the coast of Tynea to Xantis in a fisherman's skiff.
A true feat. Please continue.
We barely set foot outside the ink mistress's shop when a group of Alliance men approached. One of them shouted at us that we were savages and traitors to our people, and that they were going to show us our true place. Then they attacked us. Fortunately, we were able to defeat them. It was only then that the head guard arrived. He wanted to arrest everyone, and you stopped him. So, I was the only one who was taken to jail, since my friends here were my guests.
Thank you, Captain. I have no further questions.
Does the prosecution have any questions for this witness?
Of course. Captain, are you sure your savage friend here didn't attack my men before you had time to see it? You wouldn't be the first person to trust in these animals and be betrayed by them.
I'm absolutely certain that the events took place just as I described them. And please don't compare my friend to an animal.
Then how do you explain that a Nort longshoreman alerted the head guard and pointed you out as the attackers?
The only explanation is that he was lying.
And who's to say you're not the one who's lying? Your hands are red with the blood of my men.
Emissary, please control yourself. If you show disrespect to the witness again, we will put an end to this trial immediately.
Please, forgive me. I have no further questions.
Master, we have no further witnesses.
We shall now proceed to show our evidence.
We would now like to present some evidence that has come to light in the course of our investigation.
Evidence? Evidence of what?
Emissary, the defense has the floor. Please allow the master of the shipyard to present his case.
I have here a document signed by this very emissary, which mentions an agreement with a certain Duarte, who works as a longshoreman. The document states that this man is to alert the head guard that an attack is taking place against the Alliance's men. It also states that he will have to testify before this court and specifically identify the natives from Tir Fredi as being behind the attack. The reward for this service is a very substantial sum of money.
It must be a forgery. A forgery created by the defendants to escape a fair punishment.
As our master librarian is a handwriting specialist, I suggest that he examine this contract and give us his expert opinion on the matter.
I will look into this during the deliberations. Have you found any other evidence?
We would like to present this report, which was found in a hideout, where this very emissary was participating in suspicious activities.
How dare you? What kind of scandalous accusation is that?
Explain yourself, Master of the Shipyard. It is highly unusual to describe the person representing the prosecution in this manner.
How else can I describe the activities that required the emissary to travel to an obscure cabin in the inland territory? Not to mention the fact that this report describes these activities in great detail.
Lies! Lies and more lies! An outrageous forgery!
Let the defense continue.
The emissary and her men were obviously making deals with some of our more law-averse knots to smuggle contraband.
For shame. Master, I'm counting on you to give us these documents so that we can find the culprits.
Yes. We won't let a few bad apples spoil the guild's reputation.
And just how did you find this obviously forged report?
You may ask your questions when the defense has finished. Carry on, Master of the Shipyard.
In addition to the highly instructive explanations of their smuggling activities, these documents also include a very important element that is of interest in these proceedings. The attack is clearly planned out in detail. The head guard was to be alerted as soon as it took place. If the Alliance men were able to kill the natives, the captain and her companions, then the testimony of the longshoreman and the head guard was to have cleared them of any suspicion. If not, well, we've all seen how the rest of the plan was to play out.
Nonsense! This is unacceptable!
Why would the emissary have planned such a dire scheme that would surely put the lives of her men at risk?
The report is very clear on this point. The aim was to decidedly tarnish the natives' reputation in our eyes. Some are starting to raise their voices here against what's happening in Tier 4D, especially concerning the deportation of the natives. If we all thought the natives were savages and beasts, we'd have fewer scruples about dealing with them, wouldn't we?
That's exactly what they are!
That's
Animals.
enough, ma'am! How dare you!
We will study this report carefully. And if it proves to be true, you'll be the one to answer for it.
Master, do you have any further evidence to submit?
No, we have nothing further to present to the court.
We have nothing more to add.
The defense has presented all of its evidence, and will now defer to the council's judgment.
In that case, we will now take leave to deliberate.
Can't I plead my case?
If you were hoping to make a case for your ideas, you should know that's not how things work around here. The witnesses and the evidence are presented, and anyone can examine and refute them, but the final decision is the council's. We'll return once a unanimous decision has been made. The council has come to a decision, and I'll let Admiral Cabral announce the verdict.
Given the evidence that was presented, we have come to the conclusion that the defendants are innocent.
This is a travesty!
Silence. We don't have enough evidence to prove your responsibility in this tragic affair. However, we shall keep a close eye on you from now on, so you'll have a Nort escort with you at all times. I advise you to finish your business here quickly and return to Tynea as soon as possible. And don't even think about troubling our exonerated guests again.
The council has ruled, and the court is adjourned.
You're free, and may do as you please until you're ready to board your ship, Captain. Despite the trial, I've had the shipyard working on it, and it'll be ready to sail with the tide tomorrow.
Captain, I know what you think of me, what everyone thinks of me. But could I have a word with you?
What is it?
I hear you're looking for your mother's logbook. I know where it is.
Is that so? How could you possibly know that?
I'll tell you when the time comes, but not here. Meet me at the tavern when you're done.
I don't trust you, Silvio, but I'll come. It would be wrong not to hear you out at least once. Oh, thank you. Thank you for getting me out of there. I'm sorry that even here, you've once again been victim to the Alliance's evil schemes. But I'll get you home. I swore I would do it, and I shall. Tomorrow, we'll have a ship. And even if I can't take you to Tier 4D straight away, it's a first step.
Why do we not leave now? You say you want to take us home, but in the next breath, you tell us we have to wait.
Because this kind of expedition is incredibly expensive. Sailing to Tier 4D takes months and costs a fortune. You're going to need a protector. A patron. But don't look at me. I don't have a coin to my name. My family does, though.
I know someone who wants to go home, too.
Not in the least. I'm very happy to be here with you. You're far less dangerous than my uncle.
We can choose our destination once we're aboard the ship. In the meantime, we can take a break at the tavern, or go for a walk. Anything you like. As long as there are no bars on the windows.
Wait. I'm sorry. I overheard your conversation. I'd like to accompany you. Even if I have to wait, I'd like to go to Tier 4D with you.
There are enough of your people on our island already.
And you can surely find another ship. The Alliance regularly funds crossings to Hikmet.
That's true. I could probably find backing for a map-making mission, but I'd have to make compromises I'm not willing to make with people I despise. Please, let me prove that not all of my people are manipulators and forces of destruction.
She did warn us and helped us with the framing. And having an ally in the Alliance could be useful.
The best I can do is to offer to let you come aboard my ship. Whether or not you can be a part of our group is a decision that's for the others to make.
My daughter's strange companions. I suppose I owe you an apology. If I hadn't been involved with that emissary, you wouldn't have had to prove your innocence in this mess. Take time to rest and celebrate the end of this sordid affair. Now, unless you have any questions.
How do you see the knots? Do you see them as sailors only? As merchants?
Just a few centuries ago, there were only a handful of ragged fishermen on this rock, who starved when the sea was rough. But those who came before me used the inhabitants' gift for navigation to transform it into the base of a prosperous guild. Most foreigners see us as simple sailors, but we're far more than that. We're ship owners. We design and build our own vessels. We're also explorers, who open new routes on the seas and discover unknown lands. And finally, we offer our transport services to the different nations and are paid handsomely for them, which allows us to go even further with better ships. I know you must resent some of the services we provide, but we're not responsible for what our customers put into our holds.
Do the Knots always have two admirals? And what exactly is their role?
No, we don't always have two admirals. We've had as many as 6. Until recently, there were 3 of us. But old Placido decided to retire. As for our role, we are the defenders of the Guild's spirit. Its decision makers. We each look after a part of the fleet, and meet as a council when necessary. When a sailor must stand trial, when there's a business decision to be made that affects the entire Guild, that sort of thing. I'm in charge of the Continental Fleet. Admiral Cabral is in charge of all travel to your island.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Be quiet. We don't want to be overheard. We're missing something to make this work. We're missing something to make this work.
Axes, throwing knife! Have you made up your mind? Are you gonna buy this weapon or not?
Stop! Access to this area is strictly forbidden. Move along.
We'll have to be careful. We're not supposed to be here. We'll have to be careful. We're not supposed to be here. We'll have to be careful. We're not supposed to be here. Dressed as servants, we would be almost invisible.
Who's there?
Only diplomats are allowed in the building. Move along, hurry up.
Dressed as servants, we would be almost invisible. Dressed as servants, we would be almost invisible.
Only diplomats are allowed in the building. Move along, hurry up.
You're not from around here.
We'll have to be careful. We're not supposed to be here. We need a key to open this door.
So, what can you tell me about my mother's logbook?
I think I know where your mother hid it, and where it might still be.
Oh, really? And how could you know that? I doubt that my mother confided in you.
I wasn't always an outlaw, you know. Your mother trusted me. I beg you, at least listen to what I have to say.
Thank you for coming. Silvio was just going to tell me where he thinks I might find my mother's logbook.
Tomorrow, you'll be given a ship. Your mother's ship, to be precise.
But I thought it was lost in the storm.
Lost? No. But it did suffer tremendous damage. It's been recovered and repaired. As you know, I was the shipwright working on her ship. Before her accident, your mother asked me to build her a cache. A cache in her cabin. Just big enough to hold a logbook. If her logbook still exists, it must be there.
What do you know of Alvida's mother's fate?
Unfortunately, everyone knows what happened and who is responsible.
I have always worked my hardest on all the ships I was assigned to, and I would never have let your mother, for whom I had great respect, go to sea on a dangerous ship. I don't know what happened. There weren't many survivors, and I never had the chance to talk to them. According to the official report, the weakened ship was unable to weather the storm, and for that reason it ran aground not far from the island, resulting in the death of the captain and some of her crew. But I know that's impossible.
Didn't you lose your position because of what happened to the Constantia?
Indeed. Admiral Barcelos found me guilty of what had happened to the captain. I think he even suspects me of having done it on purpose. But since there was no real evidence against me, they just banned me from working on ships.
Why did you come to find Alvida now? Why didn't you tell her about this earlier?
The trial undoubtedly roused his remorse.
It has nothing to do with the trial. Even if I would have liked to have had a louder voice to help save you from this masquerade, if I've come now, it's because you are going to take possession of the Constantia. You, on your mother's ship. It's too good an opportunity to miss. For I know that the captain's logbook will prove my innocence.
Thank you for answering our questions.
I still don't trust you, Silvio. But I'll check the cabin on the Constantia once we're on board.
Oh, I sincerely hope that the logbook is still there. Because then everyone will see that I was falsely accused. I'll go back to my workshop now. Thank you for listening.
Do you need my services? My advice?
You must be very proud to have been named captain.
Oh, of course. And I'm all the more proud that I got my new rank as a result of an achievement. That's not always the case, you know. Sometimes the only thing that counts is your length of service. But this rank offers me such an opportunity. I'll finally be able to make my voice heard on things that are important to me. Maybe I'll be able to convince the guild to stop its involvement in human trafficking. In any case, I'll do everything in my power to make that happen.
I won't bother you any longer.
See you soon.
How can I help you?
See you later.
Of course.
From another world.